Confuse everybody. Every time he sees me, he comes running with open arms. My sister! And you can imagine the look of everyone's face when they see me and he's calling me the sister. And we love to confuse people. We say, yes, your brother and sister. So fellow Toastmaster, if you haven't already guessed, our next speaker is our very own DTM Toastmaster Khalid AlQoud. Now, when I visited his website, I pulled out a testimonial. And I should say I pulled out one of the many testimonials. And this is how one of his attendees at one of his workshops described him. He said, Toastmaster Khalid AlQoud represents the next wave of dynamic speakers on leadership, CSR, and motivational speeches. His presentations have covered the GCC and as well as the Middle East. I've heard a few other topics come out of Khalid that are equally as interesting. He spoke at the GCCPR conference in 2008, and then I watched him at the ASEC Leadership Conference in 2011. These two performances were golden, and the audience in both cases were at the edge of their seats. Khalid is going places. Khalid builds change. And with that said, fellow Toastmasters, please let's put our hands together, presenting us a topic on parliamentary procedures titled The Basics of Using Robert's Rules of Order. Please help me welcome DTM Khalid AlQoud.
Thank you, my sister. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our distinguished guests.
Good evening.
Excellent. First thing that you have to correct is if you would like to check your audience if they're awake or not. Well, parliamentary procedure is something that I love, practice, and I love to share things that I learned as a student in the University of Life and as well at the University of Toastmasters. Now, when we say parliamentary procedure, what's the first thing comes to your mind?
Rules.
What else?
Order.
Orders. What else? Discipline. Excellent. Who says discipline? What else? What is the one thing that we always use parliamentary procedure for? Especially in Toastmasters meeting. To stop what? Argument. Debates. And what else?
Side talking.
Or people who like to voice their idea. I'll give you an example. Toastmaster Ahmed Shukri. Where do you like to have your coffee?
Starbucks.
Now, he understood my question as where he liked to have his coffee, and his answer is Starbucks. Well, I thought when I ask him this, his answer will be either to have his coffee at home or at work. Now this is the beginning of argument between human beings. We as a human being always love to hear the answer that runs in our brain. Nice. Although if somebody else is telling us the right answer. Parliamentary procedure is to stop nonsense arguments and to come up with the majority acceptance of any discussions. Now, parliamentary procedure is not something new. It's been running there from really long time. Once this works, why it's not working? All right. It's not something that was invented yesterday, but think about it. This beautiful small A5 book, 91% of the world is using it. They use it at the White House. They use it at the Kremlin. They use it in Europe, and even partially they use it at Bahrain. The most important thing is your vote can build a change as an individual. But most of the time, especially in Toastmasters meeting, people just love to say one thing. Aye and nay. And that's it. When you ask the person, why did you say aye? He says, well, my friend said it. Or, the majority of people was shouting. I remember back in 2008, we had the DTM here in Bahrain in that hotel. And look at what happened by the scenario of the story. A person walked to the Toastmaster convention, which is the district convention, and he said, I will not submit my membership number to the registration desk. I will register as a guest because I am different. So he registered as a guest and he went to the credential desk and he collected his ballots as a president. And he entered the election. The first thing I saw was he was sitting and he had the ballots for voting in his hand. Now, is he eligible to vote as a president?
No.
Why?
He registered as a guest.
He registered as a guest. Now, we did not submit this argument to the parliamentarian because the parliamentarian will do one thing. He will ask him to leave the room. Because guest is not allowed to enter what? Election rooms. He says, I'm going to make a big noise about it. And we says, a part of the Toastmasters, if you disturb a policy, it can reach to the second level. He says, I don't care. He said, we care. And this, what happened? We said, we respect 327 people, so one person, if he's kicked out, won't be a problem. He said, I'll make it so big. What do you think we did?
Ask him to go out.
If we ask him to go out, he might make a big noise about it, right? Right? Now, the last thing that you want to do in a meeting, using the rules of parliamentary procedure, is not to disturb the environment. Because once you disturb the environment, what's going to happen? Yeah. You're not a leader controlling. It was 300 plus people. So that's when you ask a senior parliamentary person to deal with that case. But he took him outside the hall in a very nice way, and he asked him, if you would like to excel this, let us know from now, so we can call the authority. Because now it's beyond what? A meeting. See sometimes where you have to take the stages? Now, parliamentary procedure have a history, and history which started, look at it, in 1801. But kept on changing day after day, because if you notice, then I'll deal with the slides. If you notice, every single generation add things which can cope with the change that it's facing. The world is moving so fast. Our expectations is moving fast with it. So the yesterday rules cannot be sometime implemented tomorrow. So you have to come up with rules and regulations. Even with Toastmasters, they had to change a major thing in 1973 by opening the Toastmasters for ladies. Why? Toastmasters was only for men. So they had to take a step. How did they take this critical step? If the majority did not approve that, there wasn't going to be ladies in our Toastmasters. Got it? Mm-hmm. Now, we want to go through, you can change the slides every 1 second or 2 seconds. We want to go through the technical part of parliamentary procedure, but let's talk about the way that we can use the parliamentary procedure within our club. No resolution can be passed except one important thing is in the floor. What is it?
Quorum.
Quorum. What is the quorum in Toastmaster? 50 plus 1. What if you have 150 people? What's your quorum?
76.
What if 76 is not there?
Call them.
Call it off.
You don't have a quorum. You don't have a
Ask-
quorum, but will you
ask-
stop the process of a meeting?
Parliamentary.
Absentee.
Parliamentary.
You can if you do the following steps. I'm leading a meeting which my quorum is 76 and my total active individuals numbers is 150. How can I do this? First, I will announce that I'm stopping the meeting for a certain time for me to have what? To give the chance, maybe somebody is coming or not. What's going to happen after that?
Fox.
I will run the meeting saying that we will send the minutes of meetings to the others to reflect if there is any acceptance or not. And then I will proceed. You notice sometimes we do this in the district level. If there is no quorum, it says we will gonna stop for a certain time, and then they start again. We will send it to be passed by the majority. So it do have a way out. But sometimes because especially our new members, they don't know about the second steps. What they do is those who have the knowledge, they want to enforce what their ideas. So they say, so we don't have a quorum. So we're not going to do it. Now, how do you address a motion? Or how can you put a motion on the floor? What is the right wording to say?
I propose.
If you propose, that means it can be also defeated. When you propose,
Amendment.
it can be defeated.
Amendment. Amendment.
I would like to move a motion. So you would like to move a motion to change the meeting time from 7:30 to 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's a motion now. Where? In the
On the floor.
floor. Now, if nobody seconded your motion, that means the motion is not carried. That means the motion have to be what? Kept aside. Then you move on to any other things. So the process is, you move a motion. The motion is seconded. What's happening after that? The motion is what? In the floor. So you open the discussion. And that's what we were going to focus on today, the discussion of a motion. And what's going to happen after that? Somebody will vote, will raise a motion to close what? The discussion. Somebody will second it. What's going to happen after that? It's moved to voting. And what you have to do if you're chairing this meeting? You have to say the result. Now, in motions, there is always debates from time to time, right? If you're chairing those activities in a meeting, you have to be fair for everyone. You might have half of the audience with the motion, half of the audience against the motion. You don't have to give all the audience the chance to speak. When there is a big crowd, you can. Says, I would like to take two of the audience to speak within the motion, and two of the audience what? Against the motion. So those two is enough. Why? Because you are chairing an event, chairing a meeting, and you have to also maintain the meeting time. Now, 90%, the parliamentarian have to be a senior member who knows the whole process of that particular issue. And also have the knowledge of the process of parliamentarian. So the right place for them is in your right hand side. Don't we say you're my right hand, that means you're my big supporter? So the right locations for a parliamentarian is on the right side of the person. And some of the agendas that I sent to different countries when I was going in a route for Toastmasters is when you start the meeting, the second thing, in a club meeting, appoint a parliamentarian. Why? Because you're preparing your members to learn how to function as parliamentarian. And Toastmasters, if you ask anyone What is Toastmasters is all about? Oh, those people who always talk.
And clap.
Clapping, yes.
Vijay Banur days, you will ask all the members in Vijay days, is what is Toastmaster? Oh, they're having fun, they always clap. I keep telling them don't clap. But Toastmaster is a huge life experience where you learn how to speak, how to manage things, and how to learn things which can help you even in an advanced level of your life, including if you're running for the parliament. This presentation I delivered it in South Africa to people who's there to join the parliament. And by the way, those who love to go around the world, if you go to South Africa, it's a must that I would like to recommend for you. Buy the Constitution of South Africa. Read it. For me, it's the best constitution in this whole life for a country. And when we sat at the Parliament of South Africa with the leaders, you won't believe how they have a beautiful knowledge and they're implementing the parliamentary procedure. That's why now the transaction in South Africa, from where it was to where it is today, was done by implementing the constitution through parliamentary procedure. So if you want to adopt anything within your country, especially those who's in a family business, sometimes you have resolutions, right? And those resolutions can make a big change, either to grow the company or collapse the company. And there is a lots of ways to defeat motions as well. So motions is to stop debates. Motion is to carry an advantage for individuals as well for what? The whole organization. That's why you hear from time to time that individuals is having something, they call it lobbying. So what are you doing? What you're doing is that you sit with a group of people and you lobby to have their voice against something that you believe in. So you influence a group of people who have the right as an individual to come up with the majority vote to adopt your idea. And that's where you win. Unfortunately, some of those, what we call them grouping, is not a healthy thing. Because you see them sometimes in parliaments. They enter the parliament as per lots of big lists that they said they will implement for the community, but end of the day they do nothing. How did they gain all those votes? Is by lobbying. Toastmasters do the same thing. And that's why if you notice what happened last year in the election, because there was unethical lobbying happened.
Really?
So what do we mean by unethical? There was some votes which was bought. There was some votes which was given. And you know the right of a vote holder is 2, maximum 3. So imagine someone sits and he have 16 or 25 or 50 votes in his hand. What does that mean? Where did he get them from? Someone passed it to him? Well, that's wrong. I'm quite sure you have a lots of questions why this important parliamentary procedure is implemented in Toastmaster. Do you know why? As much as you grow in number, as much as you are in need of this. That's why countries is using parliamentary procedure. How many members today in Toastmasters? How can you control them? In that hotel, back in 2012, when we had the second DTAC, you know how many parliamentary I kept in the stage? Guess a number. Ahmed was there.
12. Too many.
12.
5, 8.
I was sitting in the middle. My ex-com and the district was on my left-hand side. And my right-hand side, all the past district governors was the parliamentary. As advisors, parliamentary, for the main parliamentarian, which was Imtiaz. If you want to learn more about anything regarding the parliamentary procedure, read the book. It's self-explained. Number two, nobody in this life is perfect, but we have a big problem that we don't ask. Human beings have a big issue. And number three, parliamentary procedure will let you learn how to analyze things right. I'll give you a story that happened. They found a person who's dead on the road. And nobody wants to carry him and bury him. You know why?
Yeah.
His reputation in the whole community was he's always under drugs and alcohol, and he's always in prostitution houses. So will you bury somebody who's like this? Yes or no?
Yes.
Why not?
Yes.
So they carried him.
Big deal.
Look at now, the community is seeing him always in prostitution houses and also in bars. So when he died, nobody wanted to do what? To bury him, right? So but a person took him with his friend to his family. And when they kept him near the door, they said to his family, "It's the time for you to bury him." The whole family, especially his wife, was crying so much. Guess what? Because he says, everyone is evaluating his life in a negative way because they don't know the truth. Parliamentary procedure can let you know the truth if you dig right. So what happened is, every day, he used to go to the places where they sell alcohol and he buy lots of alcohol. He goes back home and he pour it on the sink because he don't want other people to buy alcohol. He used to go to prostitution house every day, and he sat every day with one of those who's in this house for hours and hours, and he paid her money. And he says, how many days will this money help you to recover from what you are in? Now, how many of you, when they heard that there is a person who's dead, he needed not to be buried as a normal person? Well, the majority, they will think of this, right? Unless you know the truth, and the truth sometimes comes from what? A debate of with that person right or against this person right. So what do you have to do when you're a parliamentary chair? You have to listen right. And give the chance for those who is with the motion or against the motion to understand the story right. And then judge. And the judgment is not from you. You as a parliamentarian, you should not judge in public. You judge in yourself, for yourself. So what you do, you're a controller of the process. The parliamentary chair is a controller of the process. You don't have the right as a parliamentarian to voice your idea. And you have to listen right. What are the things that can go wrong in a parliamentary meeting?
Timekeeping. No agreement. Timekeeping.
Timekeeping, excellent. Timekeeping. Who's in charge? The meeting chair, not the parliamentarian. But the parliamentarian can say, point of order, this discussion is taking so much time. So that's when you're a parliamentarian. What else?
Speaking out of turn.
Sometime you will see people who, there is a motion now on the floor to change the meeting time, right? He will stand and says, you know what? I would like to talk about our dress code. So as a parliamentarian, you will say, point of order, you're out of point. So you will correct the person. Why? Because he's taken the time and the right of somebody else. What else is there?
Speaking foul language, not speaking the right language, foul language, abusive language, for example, or not appropriate.
If somebody do this, the parliamentarian is the right person to stop him. Why? Because he's out of the topic. What else? Majority of meetings, when they are asking for votes, they will say those in favor, say what?
Aye.
Aye. So what's going to happen in this situations? Majority of people is so entertained. Aye, aye. And they don't know that their voice can affect the whole process. And how many times you attended meetings and would say, and those against say nay. And the same person who says aye, he'll say nay by himself. Didn't you just say aye? Here nobody else wants to say it. We take it as a joke. One person vote can change a whole process and rules and regulation as well. Shaukat got to know more about this in the old days, right? What else is there with the parliamentary procedure? How to defeat a motion. Do you know that there is also some rules that can allow you to defeat the motion? And that's when we argue, myself and Zulfikar. There is a motion, it's there on the floor. How can you defeat it?
To close the discussion.
No, you can close the discussion and it goes then to what? To voting, right? We talked about the process. What is the process of a motion to be adopted and to be carried? What do we do in the first thing? Move a motion. Second. Seconded. Third. Number 3. Discussion. Number 4. Close the discussion. Number
Voting.
voting.
And then result.
And then what's the chair have to do? Announce the results. Great. We're going to do some practice later. Human beings like to hear positive things all the time, but when it comes to negative things, even if it's not meant to be, they don't feel comfortable. So parliamentary procedure is to correct them also. Let me give you an exercise about this. Look at the person sitting next to you. Okay? Look at the person. Now say what I'm going to say to that person with a loud voice, okay? Say it to the person next to you. You're awesome!
You're awesome!
You're so great!
You're so great!
I love the way you look.
I love the way you look.
I'm with you with anything you want to say.
I'm with you with everything you want to say.
And if any word comes from you, I'm with you.
I'm with you.
I'm with you.
Now, all of us here are acting what we're saying, right? But how did you feel?
Good.
Funny, what else?
Supportive.
When you say something good about a person, you feel good.
Okay, now look at each other. The same thing. Let's do this again, okay? Let's do this again. You look awful.
No, I'm not gonna say
I
that.
don't know why you're sitting next to me.
I'm not gonna say that.
When this gonna finish?
When this gonna
I
finish?
just want to leave. I'm gonna say. Next time, don't sit next to me.
Anytime soon.
Only those two is to me. But you know why? Now, I'll tell you one thing. You know why you're not saying it? The majority was not saying it.
Because it feels
And that's, by the way, it's part of the practice. Although you are acting what you wanted to say, but you don't feel comfortable even to say it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the things that makes the heats in a serious meetings, regardless if it's a Toastmasters, board meetings, or even in parliaments, is when the things is not within your favor. So that's when you build up the heats. So those things comes from the tone of the opponents. You will say things that you don't like. And because of those things, what you're gonna do? You're heating up, and that's where you build the biggest mistake. 89% of human being failures is because their decisions and talk comes from their emotion. And when you talk, not from here, but from here, and you're heating up, all what you say can be taken against you. And that's where sometimes in parliamentary procedure you will say, point of order, you have exceeded your limits, kindly leave this room. Let me give you something that happened for the first time in a club which is 50 years old. When I was the president of this club, I kicked one person and I suspended his membership from the club. Why? I stood up in a club meeting and I said, we have one person in this club who exceeded his rights by doing something ethically not good
for one of the members. So kindly now, I would like to state a motion. This person has to be suspended immediately from the club. And this is the letter that I will be sending it to him tomorrow by register. Those who's in favor say aye. So what happened is, sometime, as a person who's in charge, you have to take things in the right manner. You know what's going to happen if you just fire him because you have the power? He have all the right to come against you. Tomorrow, even if you're at work and you are the chair of your company, if you fire a person without following the proper procedure as a parliamentarian, because in the parliamentary book, it tells you as well how to go through the steps of firing, recruiting, adopting emotions, and all those
Progressive firing.
If Dr. Sumaya is an employee in my company and I just sent her a letter, you're fired because you're not working good, tomorrow she can ask for all her pending days as a holidays. She can ask for 1 month in advance with her salary of the current month, and she have also the right to ask for immediately, he's in the HR, Ahmed, and ask for compensations and more things. Well, if I follow the procedure by giving her the verbal first, second, third, and then goodbye, I already saved a lot of money and I got rid of a person who is not working. Those things you'll find them also in the book. When people talk about parliamentary procedure, they think it's all about voting aye, nay, let's go, have fun. Take it serious, because the way that you will end up reaching to your destinations and anything that you want to do is based on rules and regulations. I'll give you another example. So if your destination today is to leave this hotel and reach to the Formula 1 building, what are you going to do? Which road are you going to take?
Take the highway, Sheikh Khalifa.
You will take the highway, right?
GPS.
Highway?
GPS.
You will take all the highway? You will take the GPS?
I will
You're
put
from
the
where?
Put the address.
Now, you go out from here,
The
taking the
address.
highway to reach to the Formula 1. And Asrar called you and he says, oh, hi, how are you, Ahmed? How's things? I'm in Starbucks. Why don't you come for a coffee? Who changed your destination? Somebody else. Who have the choice? It's you. Sometimes we take unnecessary choices which can build up things away from the procedure. Parliamentary procedure can correct us. Why? Because we will waste time to reach to our destination for unnecessary things. If I sit with you for 5 minutes and then I move on and I went to another place, and then guess what? Toshan called me and says, what? I'm in Awali, don't you want to have lunch? I'm inviting you for lunch tomorrow. I went for a free lunch, yes, but I'm late for my goal. When you run a business, when you run a club, you have an aim with your exco to maintain a standard, to grow right. So if you want to reach to your goal, stop listening to the negative things from left and right. Take the parliamentary procedure as a rule and procedure. Implement it right. And your voice can make a big difference. Let's go to the next one. Oh, where are you? Oh, you went to the party down?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to move to a very important slide. All this will be sent to the VB education, so you can forward it to everyone. Those are the things that we talked about, but I would like you to know one thing. Debate, motion, not motives. Lots of people debate due to one thing. I don't like you, so I will debate everything that you talk about. That's fact. I don't like what he says because he have a group with him, which I don't like them. And Toastmasters, you know what's breaking Toastmasters, especially in Bahrain? Grouping. That's see, in my talks, I always say things which with facts. And you have witnessed those things over the years, right? That's what's break the Toastmasters. Groups, groups, groups. Lobbying, lobbying, lobbying. But think about it. Why did it? Asra said it nicely. Why we're in Toastmasters? If we know how to speak, you don't need to join Toastmasters. And by the way, even if you get DTMs, I have 3 DTMs, but if I put them all 3 of them, if you go to my CD, I don't have anything related to Toastmasters on my CD. You know why? They will think that I'm a master of a toast. They don't know what is Toastmasters. Majority of the world don't know. I'm doing the 4th DTM as well, which I have a couple of manuals to finish. It will take me nearly another 6 months or 1 year. It's not important, it's what you learn from it. So when you are in a Toastmaster, you're with different nationalities, different background, different understanding, right? How would you communicate with those differences? When you're the world champion, rightly said, when you're the world champion of Toastmasters, nobody will invite 90% of the world, which will invite you as Toastmasters. So you're a world champion of an organization. There's millions of organizations more powerful than Toastmasters. But I'm loyal to Toastmasters. Why? Because I learned a lot from it. So ask yourself today, before you go, what do I want? What do I want from Toastmasters? And make it happen. Okay? Magic. I thought it works.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I would like to tackle in our talk here. Yeah, please do take this, because it doesn't work. When it comes to the minutes that you will circulate, if you don't have a quorum, what you going to do? My time is up. All right?
Wait.
Yes.
For a
How
while.
many minutes do I have?
Grace period.
Grace seconds. Yes. 30 seconds.
I'll leave you with this because my time is up. By the way, this is a full 3 days presentations, which have more activities. But I just want to give you some. Make a motion, second the motion. We talked about it, but I just want to give you some hints about other things, which I will leave it on the slides. Okay? Those are some of the important resources which can help you to become an expert in parliamentarian. Not the best, but expert. And I will end up saying this. To grow right in your life, you have to remember 3 things. Know yourself and who you are, and what's your weaknesses and where you have to grow. Implement what you learn, so you can discover yourself right. You're a student in the University of Life, which you will never graduate. After you study some of the things, because still today, human being is using only 2% of their brain. The same people that you see next to you, similar to those people, was existing 40 years ago. But now what we have in our hands, it's not available 40 years ago. The only different, people start thinking different. So know yourself, get to know things around you, from your family, from the neighborhood, from school, universities, implement those things to discover yourself. But the most important thing in life, become a good ambassador. Share what you learn with somebody else, because you're in charge of the growth of this beautiful community. Thank you for allowing me to become with you today, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, my sister.
Thank you very much, my brother, for reminding me here